I'll let them in a second.
Okay, cool. I'll leave that to you. Thanks, Anish.
हरिहंत प्रभु ना दर्शन करता ओम नमो हरिहंताणम सिद्ध प्रभु ना दर्शन करता ओम नमो सिद्धाणम आचार्यों ने वंदन करता ओम नमो आयर्याणम उपाध्याय ने वंदन करता ओम नमो उपाध्यायाणम सर्व साधु ने वंदन करता नमो लोए सब साधूणम सम्यक दर्शन मुझने मर्जो देशो पंचन मुक्तारो सम्यक ज्ञान मुझने मर्जो सर्व पाप परासनो सम्यक चारित्र मुझने मर्जो मंगलानं च संवेसी नव पत्नी आराधना करता वर्णम अभय मंगलम वर्णम अभय मंगलम वर्णम अभय मंगलम.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is having a good week so far. Welcome to our webinar, Launch, Switch or Return, Mastering the Modern Job Market. We're delighted to be joined by today's speaker, Davina Patel-Shah, a highly experienced learning and development expert. Davina has helped countless individuals strengthen their professional skills, build confidence, and navigate successful career transitions. With her background, talent development, and employability training, she brings a wealth of practical insight to topics such as CV writing, interview techniques, job search strategies, and building an effective online presence. Without wasting much more time, get your notebooks and pen ready and join me in giving a warm welcome to Davina as she guides us through an engaging and interactive session designed to support your career journey. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here. And thank you for that introduction, Smita. I really appreciate it. So just to make sure, can you all see my PowerPoint slide deck? Just give me a thumbs up if you can. Can you see it? Yep. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So my name is Davina, as Smita just introduced me. So I'll be your facilitator for the next sort of 90 minutes or so. And as she stated, my background is all things learning and development with some experience in recruitment as well. So I'll be honest, I'm by all means no expert, but just some things that I have, gathered and experienced in my career journey so far. And I just want to be able to share that with you guys in whatever situation you might be in. If that's you launching your career, so if you're just starting off with your career at entry level or looking to switch up perhaps, or returning into the workplace either after redundancy or taking a career break or whatever that is, then this workshop is for you. And I really do help it. It helps you and benefits you in some sort of way, and maybe even a refresher on some of the things that you might already know about. And
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
yes.
Do you just reshare your slides? It's not coming
Oh,
through.
can you not see my slide deck? Smita, can you see it?
You're on mute, Smita.
I did see it before, but it's gone now.
Oh, has it? Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know. Let's just reshare that again. Right. Can you see the slide deck?
Brilliant, we can.
Hey, fantastic. Okay, awesome. Thank you for letting me know there. Otherwise, I was just going to be talking to myself there, and you would just be looking at my face as opposed to a slide deck, which is going to be a lot more useful for you than you just looking at my face. So yeah, like I say, whatever situation you might be in, I hope this does help you, this employability workshop, with some practical tips and tricks that you can sort of take away after the 90 minutes. Um, I'll share a little bit about myself. I'm in this boat at the moment where I am currently seeking a job, just going through the redundancy process. So hopefully that might resonate with someone. We're all humans at the end of the day, right? Life is life, business is business at the end of the day. But these sort of things in life are there to teach us resilience, and I guess trying to stretch our comfort zone as well, making sure that, you know, we keep stretching our comfort zone, so learning something new and really just keep putting ourselves out there. So I guess some quick ground rules. I'd appreciate if you can try and engage with this material through the chat stream. So feel free to ask any questions at any point. We will keep a lookout on the chat stream through Smita and Shilpa. So yeah, please do ask any questions at any point. There's no such thing as a silly question. And I do want this to be a safe zone for everyone as well. So if you do want to share any sort of personal stories or anything personal or any experiences on the topic that I'm talking about, feel free to do that, please. I do appreciate this workshop is being recorded, but that's only for the useful purposes of people that aren't able to perhaps attend this live stream, or people might want to watch it afterwards again. But please do try to interact in the best way possible. So the agenda for this workshop is quite jam-packed. We're looking at personal branding. So then from that leading on to building your online presence, so building that online network, and then following on to CV writing tips. And then we'll be looking at some interview techniques as well, some key ones that a lot of businesses will use in their interview processes. Then we'll briefly look at job search strategy, so really looking at what is out there in the market, where to look for jobs, and hot topic, using technology to support that surrounding us every single day, and really understanding how can you leverage the tools at your fingertips to support you in the situation, and then hope to share some helpful resources at the end of this workshop. So hopefully this sounds good to you, and hopefully from this you can take some things away at the end of the workshop. So, starting off with personal branding, I'd say this is the core of everything in terms of starting off your career, the employability job market, everything. You have to think like being a marketer, really. You are the product and you need to develop a sales and marketing campaign for your job search. You need to be able to create a personal brand that clearly shows who you are and what you can do. Then be able to deliver this brand message through your CV, cover letter if applications ask for that, your personal statement, and that could be again on your LinkedIn profile, or you could have a personal statement at the beginning of your CV. But also your online profile as well, which is LinkedIn, but perhaps you might be using some other resources as well to really just show that online presence, and again, try and reach a broader sort of network out there. But of course, at any stage in someone's career, it's important to evaluate and understand your current personal goals, skills, strengths, and weaknesses and passions to keep your career in line with your personality and interests. So it's really important to understand yourself so that you can find a career path that is both rewarding and satisfying. And of course, knowing and understanding yourself and why you make those decisions that you do, that will help you to find the job search process a little bit easier, but really trying to understand as well the type of work and environment that you like, but also you will thrive in to be the best that you can. Giving confidence in selling yourself in your CV or cover letter or even your LinkedIn, really empowering you in that interview setting. So here's just a set of questions that you can ask yourself. Again, the list is endless, but the whole point of the self-analysis point is really to just get yourself thinking, to really think about, let's say, what are your current goals? What are your core values? What really motivates you every day? You know, what makes you tick? What do you even stand for personally and professionally? Ask your friends, you know, use your networks, either family, friends, even colleagues, what do they think about you? Ask them to describe you maybe in 5 words or so, and really just try to get to know yourself from other people's perspective. What do they see in you that you might not see in yourself? And again, it does take a bit of courage to ask those sort of questions from other people, but I think it's really important. And again, speaking to people that you most trust as well, obviously, you trust their value, their judgment of you as well. And then after that, it's about, understanding where do you want to be within, let's say, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever that is, and understanding what opportunities that you want to attract, and how does your personal brand support these goals as well. Um, and also, what makes you different? What makes you unique from the job market, from other candidates that are out there? And what is the audience that you want to attract and engage with? So again, there's a lot to this, from, that self-analysis part. And I'll be honest, this is probably the hardest part as well, really getting started and trying to do this deep dive in yourself. But I think that's really, really important. And from this is where the rest of the stage will start. And that's obviously building your CV, and then really being able to build your online presence, LinkedIn, and then following through with those job applications and really trying to stand out within that. Is there any sort of question from anyone at this point in terms of, branding yourself, that self-analysis part? If there is, feel free to ask. If not, we'll take them a bit later on. But hopefully this just sort of makes sense to everyone about, just getting started and really trying to understand what is your personal brand, what do you want to be known out there, and what sets you apart from everyone else as well. And almost what is your superpower, what things that other people might rely on you for, perhaps, and what do you actually bring to the table? So, like I say, reach out to friends and families, colleagues, and ask them to just describe you perhaps in 5 words, and give their honest judgment.
I just have a question,
Yeah,
Davina.
go for it.
When you're branding, how do you manage to balance not boasting or not
Mhm.
upping yourself? Does that make sense? Because you
No,
don't want to
absolutely.
sound too cocky.
Yep.
At the same time, you want to make.
Oh, have I lost you there, Smita? But no, I got the gist of what you said. Really, really good question, actually. And again, it's a bit of a fine line, isn't it, in terms of boasting and sounding cocky, but some people might be really good at that. Some people might really struggle at that, even getting started. But do you know what? This is all about boasting and putting yourself out there, really just understanding, what are your areas that you excel in? What are your development areas, perhaps? But I think that's a skill in itself, being able to boast and be cocky. But again, speak to friends and family, colleagues that can help to maybe rein you in a bit if you are being a bit cocky, perhaps, or if you are being a bit boastful. Or alternatively, they will be there to be your cheerleaders if you're not doing that yourself. But yeah, really good question. And again, bit of a fine line, but that's why I say, reach out to those trusted people that can help to sort of rein you in, and sort of get you going in the right way possible. So now moving on to elevator pitch. So this is once you have set your brand, really, set yourself what your goals are, what your values are, and really trying to differentiate yourself in the market. So question, does anyone know what an elevator pitch is before I sort of go into it? If you do, feel free to just put a yes in the chat stream, or you can raise your hand. I don't know if there is that feature on Zoom, but otherwise not a problem. I will go into this in a bit more detail. So really an elevator pitch is a short, compelling summary of who you are, what you do, and what makes you unique. Really delivered in the time it takes to ride an elevator, which is 30 to 60 seconds. So hence why it's called an elevator pitch. So it is designed to grab attention, spark interest. So that's whether you're networking, interviewing, or even introducing yourself professionally at a professional networking event. So really, in terms of getting started with your elevator pitch, the first part is starting with something engaging or a strong statement. So really, it's about that hook, getting that impact and getting people's attention straight away. So sparking that interest. And then secondly, stating who you are, what your name is, and what your role is, perhaps. And then thirdly, it's about what you do. So really, what are your expertise or the value that you provide? So remember when I mentioned about the value, your core values as being in terms of your personal brand. So it's about trying to weave that into your elevator pitch. what makes you unique? So what differentiates, or what is your superpower? And then call to action. So let's say if you are at that networking event, it's about, what do you want next afterwards? Do you want to get a meeting in the diary with that person, perhaps? Do you just simply want to connect on LinkedIn? Or is it an opportunity that you're perhaps looking for? So this might sound really cheesy, but this is an example of what my elevator pitch might sound like. So I develop the next generation of leaders in the workplace. I unlock potential by designing and delivering impactful learning and development strategies that empower people to grow and perform at their best. So ultimately, I ensure that talent development isn't just a program, it's a culture that drives engagement and continuous learning for all. For me, all in capitals, because that incorporates the whole ED&I perspective. It's about every single person within the organization and in the business. So yeah, this might sound cheesy, like I said, but really it's about trying to get that hook, so that opening sentence, that statement, and like I say, you could be in a really, important opportunity with that person, and it's about trying to get that opportunity bagged in and trying to just follow through with a call to action afterwards, and just making sure that you have got their attention and that they might even remember you in a week or a few months down the line to say, do you know what? I remember that person because of how they came across. It was very much engaging. It sparked my interest, and I just wanted to get to know them a bit more. So being more so curious. So there's a question in the chat stream. What sort of elevator pitch would someone be looking for a first job? Is that from yourself, Shilpa, or is that from someone else?
Sorry, yes, it is. It is from me, but on behalf
Uh-huh.
of people who are looking for first jobs, because
Okay, sure.
there's no expertise as such except what they've
Yeah,
done at
true.
uni or school. So just wondering, yeah.
No, true. That's a really good question as well. And of course, if someone is completely starting off their career, like you say, they haven't got that expertise perhaps and the experience. But even within that, they can they can still sell themselves and find a hook. And it's about, let's say, their academic experience. What have they, been training in? And that could be either at university or even prior to that at school. And also bringing in that interest perhaps that they have, and even hobbies and things like that, really. And I'm sure at that stage, people are still quite curious, but still trying to navigate their career journey and try and be like, do you know what makes me tick? And it's about trying to bring that into this elevator pitch still. And I think that's a really good stage because, you're brand new. And at that point, you're still quite, I'd say, moldable, perhaps as well, and still very much curious to learn and engage with people. So again, you can put that into your pitch, into your elevator pitch. But no, a really good question there, Shilpa. So thank you. So hopefully, again, this sort of makes sense to everyone. But really, it's just, getting yourself started after you have done your self-analysis, your brand, and trying to sort of summarize yourself in terms of an elevator pitch, which is simply just 30, 60 seconds long, not very long at all. But it's really there to grab people's attention, and really just try and make you memorable, and unique, and that call to action afterwards. So now leading on to your LinkedIn profile. So this is really, really important in the job market nowadays. More important than anything else. Let's be honest, LinkedIn is pretty much your online CV, your professional CV. It's your professional social media, I say. Um, Again, LinkedIn is very much evolving as well now. It's changed a lot this year to what I knew it to be last year. But it's great. And, a lot of people do find jobs through LinkedIn nowadays. And people, are known through their LinkedIn profile, and recruiters will look at your LinkedIn profile. So you need to make sure that you have a professional image of yourself, something that's quite inviting, so quite clear, friendly, and high quality, so nothing blurry, or a not picture of you at the bar or anything like that, or even on holiday, perhaps, maybe one on holiday, but again, making sure your background is quite professional still, or just something quite inviting. And then afterwards, it's a headline that sells you. So go beyond your job title. So I have included this, but not that I have this on my own personal LinkedIn profile, be honest, but something that I will look to incorporate. But an example is that I'm a people development partner. So the attention grabbing to that point is driving leadership growth and learning culture. So it's about trying to grab people's attention to see what do you do other than just your job title, what is it out there for other people, if that makes sense. And then a section to tell your story. So this is skills, achievements, and what you're really passionate about. And this is usually at the top of your LinkedIn profile. So keep it short, sharp. But again, it's that story that you're trying to tell, and I guess get people gripping and want to scroll down and look at your LinkedIn profile even deeper. And then skills and endorsements. So add relevant skills and ask for endorsements. So endorsements are um, basically, what is it? You can ask for, I guess, feedback from colleagues that you have worked with in the past, and they go at the bottom of your LinkedIn profile. So again, this is not what I have already done, but this is something that I'm going to look to do afterwards as well from my colleagues, is to get these endorsements. And I do see this a lot on other people's LinkedIn profiles, so hence why I have added it to this slide deck. So I would be a hypocrite to say I do all of this. I don't, but hence why I'm trying to share this with you to say no one is perfect out there, neither am I. And like I said, I'm not that expert that has got everything down to a T. And my LinkedIn profile is not the best. And hence why I didn't put a screenshot of it on this slide deck. I've just put some random one that I found from Google. But it sort of shows you, gives you a bit of a flavor as to what it should look like. But yeah, and again, there's a lot to LinkedIn. I see some great profiles out there, but really it's just about getting started and trying to optimize your LinkedIn profile to the best that it can be. And like I say, it is your online CV, so really try and keep it up to date. Keep it short, sharp, but really include your skills on there, your key achievements, list your skills. As well as your education on there, and really do ask for those endorsements if you can, because that really, really helps. And like I say, a lot of recruiters and hiring managers will look at your LinkedIn, so that's really important. So question, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, would this be a problem? I wouldn't say it's a huge problem, but like I say, a lot of recruiters look at LinkedIn nowadays, as well as hiring managers. So it's something again to add if you are looking to grow your online presence. And again, just trying to get yourself out there. Like I say, LinkedIn also helps you for job searches as well. Like I'm looking at LinkedIn a lot, and a lot of businesses are using LinkedIn to actually advertise their jobs as well. So from that perspective, it's really important to have a LinkedIn account and a LinkedIn profile. So yeah, I would say in this modern job market, as to what this employability workshop has been advertised as, I'd say it's important in this modern job market. So question, who already has a LinkedIn profile? If you do, feel free to put a yes or a no in the chat stream. And if so, do you update your professional LinkedIn often? Is that regularly, occasionally, rarely, or never? Okay. Yes, I do, but not often. I'm sure that's with a lot of things. Again, me personally as well. You don't start doing it till the moment comes, and it's like, from cushy, yes, barely ever update it. That's absolutely fine. But at least it's just a bit of a reminder, isn't it? Get updating it if there's any new achievements that you have got, or if you haven't got endorsements on your LinkedIn, reach out to those trusted colleagues, and get them to write some endorsements for you, because they do go a long way. So now leading on from the LinkedIn profile, it's just some 5 quick tips to help your job search. So show your core values after you've done your personal branding, that whole self-analysis bit, and you've done your elevator pitch. What are your core values? Be unique and creative. Determine a target audience and pitch to it. Grow that online following. LinkedIn will help you with that. And build that network as well. I think that's really important, more important than ever before. Nowadays, it is about who you know as well. That can help you within the employability job market as well, through referrals, word of mouth, all that sort of stuff. And you never know who you might cross paths with as well. So on that note, I have got some links I'm going to share with you, and that can help you within this personal branding section. So I've just added them to the chat stream. Feel free to have a look at these in your own time. But these are personality tests that you can do if you are looking to start that journey about a bit of self-discovery. I
Sorry,
think, Sorry, go for it, Smita.
Sorry, Davina, we have Havisha said yes to your LinkedIn profile question, not often, and someone on YouTube says no, I don't have one.
If you
So
don't get started, like I say, that's my top advice that I can give you. And again, there's a lot of articles out there on Google that can help you get started. But just start off really basic. I'm not saying to make it absolutely perfect, but just get that account started, and just start to create your online CV. So yeah, these are two websites that you can have a look at in your own time and do some personality tests, just to do a bit of self-discovery should you want to. And again, it's a bit of fun as well. Some things you might find out about yourself that you might have not known. So now moving on to CV writing. So some really basic do's and don'ts, and hopefully it doesn't blow your mind. Like I say, something really simple, but just something to be mindful of. Because again, I find I come across a lot of CVs where some of the basics are just not met. So in terms of do's, plan your CV, but keep it really simple. Include your career summary, like I said at the very beginning, really important that career summary is because again, it's your elevator pitch, I'd say, but in a written format. And it just helps to grab that attention from those recruiters, hiring managers, and helps to set you apart from all the other candidates. Be unique, put something in there that's going to stand out. So this could be some of your core values or something that you have engaged in the past that you think is quite unique about you, and something quite interesting as well. And again, it's that hook, isn't it? It's that spark. Um, of course, include some of the basics like employer name, job title, and dates from and to, and include your most recent qualifications. That's really important as well. You don't have to list out all of your GCSEs, or neither your A levels. I'll be honest. It's all the most recent and relevant qualifications that you are looking for in terms of that job application. Talk about your key achievements and skills. That's really important, but put facts and figures in. I think that's really important. Again, that just helps to stand you apart from other people. And again, it just shows that, you've got tangible outcomes. Add your hobbies and interests. I think that's really important, but don't go overboard in it. But do add them in. Because again, I personally love seeing people's hobbies and interests, and then I try to bring that up in the interview stage. Either it be traveling, baking, whatever it is. Again, it's going to sound really cheesy, but I love baking, so I've put on my CV, call me Mary Berry. But again, it's just trying to make it a little bit quirky, but trying to set you apart a little bit. But hopefully it can spark a bit of a conversation at the interview stage if time allows. Add a link to your LinkedIn profile as well. Like I say, hiring managers and recruiters will look you up. So if you've already got a link in on your CV, that's just going to help them a bit more, and just shows that, you have engaged in networking externally as well. And there's some recent advice that I've got from a recruiter saying tailor it to each application. I'll be honest, in the past, I've never really tailored my CV to an individual application, but I think that's really important, especially nowadays. Because again, you might be applying for diverse sort of roles, and your CV might be quite generalist, which is again absolutely fine. But if that role or application is asking for something specific, then try to tailor your CV to that, because again, it will help in terms of the systems that they use. So it's ATS, so that's application tracking system. So if you put in there some certain keywords that relate to the application to that job description, then it'll help to match your application to that. Well, that's the intention anyway.
sorry to interrupt, Davina. We have one question for middle agers like me. I'm past middle age, by the way, but this is from someone else, okay?
Okay.
How far back would you go in including a career summary? And then there's another question, what type of link? I'm not sure what that relates to.
Okay, so how far would you go back? Again, so this varies. So some people could be in one organization for 10, 20 years, right? Or some people could have had multiple different jobs or career paths. Um, so the rule of thumb is don't keep it longer than 2 pages to see what you can fit into those 2 pages. And really just, I guess, elaborate on on that experience that's going to add most value to the application that you are making, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to, I guess, relate it back to myself. I've been in my current organization for 6 years. Prior to that, I've done part-time casual work. So I used to have that on my CV and I had really elaborated a lot on it. But recently I've just, taken all of that out and literally simply just included the title of the company that I worked at and the dates, because it's no longer relevant, that part-time work that I had done. It was relevant at one stage when I was entering the job market, but now it's not relevant. And instead, I've elaborated a lot more in my last 6 years that I've spent at the current organization, the different jobs that I've done, the different experiences, and what my achievements have been. Um, so let's say people are in the middle stage of their career or towards the end, like I say, just add in what is most valuable, but keep your CV to 2 pages, no longer than that, and just elaborate on the areas that are going to add most value to that. So don't add unnecessary information. Hiring managers, recruiters are just going to get switched off. Um, let's be honest, there's hundreds of people that are making applications. And if it's a popular company that you've applied for, a popular role, there's going to be lots of people applying to that. So just make sure you keep your short, sharp, simple, and just trying to keep it unique and spark that interest. Do not add a picture of yourself to CVs. I have come across CVs where people do add their pictures. Please do not do that. There's no need for it. And again, it could bring in a little bit of bias, dare I say, that whole unconscious bias and all that sort of stuff. So really just trying to keep it simple, and just trying to keep it as objective as possible. And sometimes those personal details can add to that. And of course, don't include any gaps on your CVs as well. And if there is, explain that at the interview stage, but you don't need to have gaps on your CV. And also try not to exaggerate your responsibilities or experience or knowledge, because you will get caught out at interview stage. Be honest as you can. But like I say, do detail in your achievements and things that you can actually talk about in detail if you were asked at the interview stage. So hopefully this makes sense to everyone. Like I say, nothing mind-blowing, but just really just making sure that you're able to capture some of the simple things within your CV. So some other questions. Should you put your contact details on your CV? Oh, yes, please do. Keep, yeah, so your name, contact details, some email address or your mobile number. And you don't need to include your full address. You can just put down the city that you live in, and then you can provide your address if needed at a later stage. So this is just a quick example of what a simple CV should look like, perhaps. But again, there's so many out there on Google that you can have a look at. This is just something I stole from work, but hopefully it just gives you a bit of an idea in terms of the layout. But yeah, keep your personal profile, your personal summary at the top, and you can either list your training education at the top or you can include it at the end. That's absolutely fine, however you want to, but include your employment history in chronological order. And like I say, no longer than 2 pages as well. And feel free to add a bit of color to it as well if you want to in terms of your headings. So quick top tips for, so now moving on to, sorry, interview tips. So all being well, you've done your amazing CV, you've done the application, and hurrah, you are at the interview stage now. So these are again some of the basics, but something to be really mindful of. And again, treat this the same, either it be a face-to-face or a virtual interview. Because again, mindful, a lot of companies do interview virtually nowadays as well, as opposed to face-to-face. A lot has changed since the pandemic, and interviewing has changed a lot as well. So just be mindful of that. So either way, arrive 10 minutes early and dress accordingly. First impressions are last impressions. So like I say, even if you are interviewing virtually, try to dress smartly. It does say a lot about you, and it again shows that effort as well that you have made. Be prepared with a copy of your CV, and RTW is right to work. So some companies might actually end up offering you straight away after the interview. So they might ask for a copy of your right to work. So that's your passport or whatever it is. So if you've already got that handy with you, that might just save a little bit of legwork afterwards. So bring that along if you want to and if you can. Take along any relevant certifications as well. I've been in that situation as well in the past where I've interviewed someone and I've asked them for their certifications there and there. I come from a logistics background, so I've interviewed people that need to be able to be competent and licensed to drive forklift trucks. So I asked them for their certifications straight away just to make sure that they are qualified and their certifications haven't run out as well. So just from that perspective, that's just a different sort of example. So try to bring along any certifications if possible. Also in interviews, ask questions always. It just shows that you're interested and keen. I'll give some examples in a bit in terms of what you can perhaps ask. But I'll be honest, it's one of my worst sort of bugbears if someone doesn't ask a question in an interview. And then also avoid asking questions around salary. This should be clear on the advert, and employers want to see someone who is keen on the role and the business, not just the salary package. That doesn't always go down well. And never badmouth previous employers. If you have left on a bad note or whatever it is, or if that situation wasn't great, just try not to badmouth them. Always be honest though, but be careful in how you frame it and how you sort of word it. And I'm sure that there's a way around that, but just never badmouth any sort of previous employees or previous work experiences. Question. How long on average would a recruiter spend looking at a CV? Oh, I have no idea. I'll be honest. It could be 2 minutes, 5 minutes. It really depends. Depends on the role and how many perhaps CVs they've got coming in. And again, it depends on the urgency as well. Have they been given a long time to fill that seat, that vacancy? If they have, then they can probably spare a bit more time looking at CVs. But if they've been told they need someone within a week or a month, and it's quite a high profile role, then they won't be spending much time because they've got to get through CVs really quickly and be able to get the right candidate in that post. So there's a question. I have a YouTube channel and I've built up a brand using social media platforms, but I need more subscribers and viewers. Can I use your personal branding tips for my user case? Yeah, go for it. That's absolutely fine. Hopefully it can help in that situation. Question to you all, what's your biggest challenge in interviews? Have a think about it and feel free to just type in whatever that challenge could be on the chat stream. Is that perhaps answering any sort of competency questions, or is it about selling yourself, so marketing yourself but confidently, or is it about nerves, trying to manage them, or is it about asking those good questions, like I said? So if there's any challenges, feel free to just mention them in the chat stream and try to answer them. There's a question. Any tips on how to assess if a job advert or organization is legitimate on social media? Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll be honest. And I know there's a lot of scams out there nowadays, I think, and maybe is it from that perspective? I'd say if it mentions a company, just Google that company and see if it is legit. Look on Glassdoor perhaps to get feedback on that, or if there's been any other employees at that organization to see if it is legitimate. So now moving on to interview styles. So looking at competency questions. So I have sort of looked at this and zoned into this a little bit more, as this is the style of interview techniques we've used in my business and a lot that I've come across in other organizations as well. And competency is quite a big one out there, and trying to master that is really key. So I'm just going to go through this technique and then I'll answer the questions that are on the chat stream, if that's okay. So starting off with S. So actually, let me just reveal all of these on the screen and I'll take it bit by bit. So using the STAR technique or structure helps to provide a background on the context of being able to articulate your answer to that interview question. So S starts for situation. So really it's about trying to paint a picture, trying to tell a story. So really, what was that situation? What happened? What position were you in at that time? And what were the impacts or the potential implications if you perhaps hadn't stepped in to resolve that matter or that situation? And then T is for task. So what actually needed to be done as a result? So what was the actual issue and what was the task? So what was your role? And then A is for action. So what did you do to ensure these tasks were fulfilled? So tasks or responsibilities. How did you approach each task or responsibility and complete each action? So really, like it says, what was your action? This is the doing part. And I think this is probably one of the biggest parts is about what did you do? What did you do to lead in that situation? Um, or what did you do? Did you collaborate with other stakeholders to get to that issue, to resolve it, whatever it was, it's that action. What did you do? And then ultimately, in terms of your action, what was the result? What was the overall outcome? So, what was the impact of you stepping in, the task that you carried out, the action, and the result? So, what was that overall outcome? So, the whole point of the STAR technique is to help you structure and articulate your questions better. Sorry, your answers better to the questions asked in interviews. And this is really important. And being able to master this, wouldn't say it's easy, but it's practice that makes it perfect. And if you try and use this structure to most of your answers, that will really, really help you. And again, it just helps the interviewer as well to just be able to note down their responses as well onto their documentation and just really helps to give them that feedback to you as well afterwards. Is it at certain points of your question that you struggled on or you needed to elaborate a bit more on? So hopefully the STAR techniques helps you as well as the hiring person. But yeah, it's a great technique to use. And once you've mastered it, it's absolutely fantastic. Really, really helps you being able to answer those questions well. So I'm just going to pick up on some of the responses on the chat stream. So for me, at recent interviews, I was asked how I deal with a certain situation. To think on the spot was hard to ensure I responded appropriately. Yep, absolutely. Appreciate, being asked on the spot is quite hard, and being able to just take a breather and think of your answer is really important. So I'm going to sort of move on to that shortly as well. I dislike doing presentations when asked to interview. Yeah, appreciate that as well. If you haven't got that experience from previously and you've been asked to do a presentation, so that could be either face to face or virtual as well. But again, practice is really important. And again, hopefully you can practice with, I don't know, friends or family members as well. Again, those trusted people that can give you that feedback afterwards as well. Hmm. This is a really interesting point. What advice would you give to someone with a disability or is neurodivergent to declare or not and to request adjustments for the interviewer? Would it deter the employer? Well, I'd say if it deters them, that says a lot about the company in itself, and they're not a right fit for you. That's what I would say to that. Again, personally, that's my view. Um, but I see a lot of job adverts out there that encourage this to say, let us know if there are any reasonable adjustments that are required. I didn't used to see that a lot, I'd say 2, 3 years ago, when I just used to casually look at job adverts, but I do see that a lot nowadays where ED&I, so equality, diversity, inclusion, is built into the recruitment stage, and a lot of companies are out there. But my advice is, declare, um, as long as you're comfortable to do so, because it's about giving you that fair chance in terms of your application against all the other candidates as well, because it's not fair otherwise, because they can't give the adjustments to you that you will need perhaps. And if it does deter them from interviewing you, that says a lot about them. So probably a lucky escape for you. That's what I would probably say on that. But great question there. So these are some areas where that people can maybe, I don't know, struggle on when certain questions are asked in the interview stage. So when they ask you perhaps about your weaknesses or making mistakes or development areas, so the interviewer isn't trying to trip you up. They want to see that you can learn from your mistakes. And the key point here is that you take accountability, you take responsibility, and you look to rectify that issue. And what did you learn from that? I think that's really important. Let's be honest, we're all humans at the end of the day. We all make mistakes. No one is perfect out there. And I say, there's no such thing as a bad experience. It's about what you have learned from it. So this is why they ask you in these interviews, and it's about how you frame it, to say, what have you learned from that? What accountability did you take, and what did you look to rectify? Your greatest achievement? I love these sorts of questions, because again, it's about the interviewer trying to get to know you on a personal note, perhaps. But it doesn't always need to be work related, remember that. But it's helpful if the skills from that can be applied in a work scenario. So again, always try to tailor that to the job application and that job that you are applying for. But again, be proud of your achievements. And maybe you might have quite a few, but try and list down maybe your top 3 and you think what's most appropriate in that situation. And I think this is quite a big question, again, a broad question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? They might not ask you specifically 5 years. It could be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But doesn't always have to be specific. Generic answers like progressing into a management role, etc., all fine. They just want to see that you are continuously learning and developing, be it small or big. But it's about them getting to see what your aspirations are. Are you one to develop and stretch your comfort zone? And what does that look like? And also for them to get to know, how can we look to support you and get you to that stage within your career, if appropriate to do so. But again, if there's any others, feel free to just share them on the chat stream. But these are some of the top 3 interview questions that maybe some people might struggle on. So there's a question in the chat stream. Found online interviews via webcam challenging and very different experience, of course, to face. Communicating felt different and some cues are missing, which would be picked up in person. Yeah, completely appreciate that. But I'll be honest, that's the way the world of work is changing. Soon as the COVID pandemic hit, we resorted from working face to face to online, virtual. Had to figure out how to use Teams within 24 hours. And then we completely changed how we did assessment centers. So I've got my experience within entry talent, so onboarding graduates, assessment centers. And we used to do them face to face, but now they all are online. They work effectively, but I appreciate it doesn't work for everyone, perhaps. And obviously it's never going to be the same feeling as being face to face with someone. But look at us, we're connected virtually. Again, it's that accessibility, the ease of it. But appreciate when it's an interview setting as well, it can come across quite challenging. And like you say, some cues are missed, which could perhaps be picked up in person. But again, it's just about trying to adjust yourself. Practice as well is really important. And still trying to come across the best way possible that you can if it is in that virtual setting as well. So as I mentioned earlier, asking questions is really important in an interview. Even if it's just one, it just shows that you are interested, eager. I want to know more. So here's some examples on the screen that you can pinch if you want to, but we will be sharing this resource with you after if you want it. But example questions are, what is your favorite thing about working here? So that's asking the hiring person. Again, that's flipping the question back on them, actually getting to know them a bit of an insight into them. Can you tell me more about the team that I would be working in? I think that's really important. Get to know the culture. How does the team work? Are you a good fit for that? All that sort of stuff. What is the culture like here as well? And what is the reason for this vacancy as well? If you want to know a little bit more, is it brand new or is it a role that's already been established? Has the other person left and simply obviously it's a vacancy now, so they're looking to recruit someone in? Or like I say, is it a brand new role department that they're looking to set up, which is really exciting? What are the training development offerings here? I think that's a really good question because again, it just shows that you are looking to develop, you've got aspirations, you'll want to continuously develop in your profession. And this one's a really key one. And again, this is depending on how brave you feel. But if you feel like the interview has gone well from your end, then you can ask this question at the end. Do you have any reservations about myself or my ability to do the role? So like I say, it's quite a risky question if you want to ask, and quite a confident question, but you can ask that if you want, if you feel like it's appropriate in that situation. And that will obviously give you the answer if you are on to the next stage or if you've secured that role or not. But again, just assess how the interview's gone and your confidence levels in that moment. So there's some other questions on the chat stream. I was advised to write all work experiences in the CV in a burger model. Oh, not come across that before. So mention the company date task and why it benefited the company, like made a huge profit for the company. Is that still a good model to use? I will be absolutely honest, I do not know what the burger model is. I'm so sorry, I can't really answer that. Maybe it's one for me to take away and research into afterwards. But yeah, I've not heard that one, so sorry about that. So this is quite a different take on interviews, but I think this is really important, especially in the current job market, in the modern job market. You know, it's about interviewing the interviewer as well. So interesting point that interviews are a two-way process. You know, it's not just all about the hiring manager interviewing the candidate. It is about you as the candidate interviewing and trying to find out more information from the hiring manager or the hiring panel. So obviously, before you even get to the interview, research the company, team structure, and role expectations. And then after that, prepare questions about the culture, leadership style, and growth opportunities. Review the job description and align your question to clarify any responsibilities. And then during the interview, again, if time allows, ask about the dynamics and collaboration. Explore career development, training opportunities, understand your performance expectations, perhaps probationary period. What does that look like in the company? What's the review process like? What are the milestones? All that sort of stuff. What are success measures as well? Discuss flexibility, work-life balance, and company values. This is a really big thing nowadays. A lot of companies are becoming very much people-centric, and I do see this a lot of job adverts as well about ensuring flexibility for their colleagues and trying to get that correct work-life balance, and company values as well, aligning with people's own values. Sharing your own priorities as well, checking alignment. Again, if it's appropriate in the interview and in that moment, and that could be about your personal life or family, all that sort of stuff. And then after the interview, reflect on whether the role and culture fit your goals and note any follow-up questions for the next stage. And you should endeavour to do this within the next sort of 24 hours after that interview. So again, hopefully this sort of makes sense, but yeah, interviews are very much a two-way process now, just not a one-way process. That's what they used to be traditionally. Try and make sure that you can get as much information as well as you can out of the hiring manager. And again, you know, you can then decide as well at the end of the interview if that fits with your own goals and if it feels right with you as well. Once you've been able to ask some of these key questions, I think that's really, really important. So again, if there's any questions on that as well, feel free to just put them in the chat stream. So interviewing virtually, we've had a few comments on the chat stream and I've already sort of spoke about it briefly. But it's a really big thing nowadays, and it's something to sort of note of that obviously remote working, hybrid working is a really big thing. So obviously interviews as well are a big thing where they can be done virtually as well. So that could be either first stage interviews as well as assessment centres as well. So if anyone has been part of any virtual interviews or assessment centres, feel free to mention that on the chat stream. Let me know if it's been a good or a bad experience. But again, it's about learning from that. But here's just some top tips, things to remember if you are interviewing virtually. Cross-check your technology. So obviously see what platform it's going to be on, either Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, whatever it is. There's so many nowadays as I'm coming across. Do you need to create an account or do you have obviously the joining instructions, all that sort of stuff? Make sure. Choose a professional setting than something casual. So obviously, you know, don't be in your bed or in your bedroom. Or even if you are, just make sure you choose a good sort of background. Nowadays, obviously, all these platforms are really sort of clever and enhanced where they let you choose a different sort of background. But make sure that you've got all that set up in the very first place. Maintain good body posture as well. Body language says a lot about you. And like I say, dress professionally, like as if you would be if you were going to a face-to-face interview. You know, it's about picking up on your facial expressions. You know, your body language says a lot about you than what your spoken words will be, or even your tone. I believe it's around 55%, whereas your words are around 7%. And this is actually taken from the communication model that those stats are. So again, really, really important. And obviously make sure you've got the camera functionality, all that sort of stuff. Prepare, practice, and perform. Keep your notes handy. Again, that's one of the benefits of being able to interview virtually. You can have your CV up on your screen if you want to, or just some other notes. Use it to your advantage. But obviously, don't rely on it completely. It's there for, quick, handy notes in the moment, but don't be staring at it as opposed to looking directly in the camera and actually giving attention to the hiring manager or the interviewing panel. And of course, speak clearly and concisely, and be a good listener as well. So literally all the things you would be doing if you were face to face. And again, same principles virtually as well. So hopefully, this makes sense of everyone. If there's any other questions on this, feel free to just put them in the chat stream. But it's a really big one nowadays, interviewing virtually. So do bear that in mind as well. And again, it does save from a cost perspective as well. So I do see a lot of companies doing that. So now if we move on to looking at job search strategies. So really this is looking at all the different websites that are out there in terms of looking for jobs. So this is just a few on the screen in terms of the logos that I have put on there, but some really big ones. So Total Jobs, Indeed is a really big one. Reed as well. And like I say, LinkedIn as well, you can look for jobs on there as well. It's not just purely for your online CV and networking. A lot of companies will advertise jobs via LinkedIn as well. So really, really good one to keep a lookout on. So with all of these websites, you can create a free account, add your most up-to-date CV, set up job notifications to your email. So obviously if there are any jobs coming through, make sure they're coming through to your email and that you've got the notification set up. Though I appreciate it can become a bit overwhelming perhaps, and your inbox will perhaps get a bit inundated. But of course, just manage your notifications as you can, but you might not want to, well, you might miss out on a really good job if it does end up in your inbox and that notification has come through. But yeah, again, some really basics, but ones to bear in mind. Cover letter, they're not always necessary. Some job applications will ask for them, some won't. But of course, remember to always rewrite a new one for each application. I'll be honest, that's not one of my strength areas. I hate cover letters, or I have done in the past. I dread doing them. But of course, if job applications are asking for them, just make sure that you're able to write them and just keep practicing. And again, get feedback on it as well from the hiring managers as well. Okay, great. So there's a question in the chat stream. What is the best place to look for work experience for year 12 and 13 students? Oh, that's a really good question. Well, I guess the question back would be, is there a careers or an employer's advisor within college or sixth form perhaps? But otherwise, I actually don't know in terms of work experience for that sort of age group. So maybe one for me to look back at afterwards. But sorry, can't really help on that one. But again, maybe look out on LinkedIn perhaps, because I see a lot of companies advertising actually work experience for that sort of age category. I know my company have done it in the past. We've actually done virtual work experience, where again it's online, but for that age group. But again, it depends on each company as well, perhaps if they've got those programs up and running. But definitely, I'm sure there's career advisors within the college or sixth form to help on that, perhaps because they would have had, I guess, networks with local employers. What would you say in a cover letter that is not in your CV? So really, the cover letter is all about, understanding why are you fit for that role? What do you have? What skills and experience do you have that align to that role that you are applying for? And understanding, why do you want to work for that company as well? So this is a lot more sort of written and really just being able to again sell yourself within that. And again, aligning it with the job description as well. But again, have a look at online some great examples of cover letters as well, perhaps. Right, so that's in terms of, the different job search strategies. But again, there's a lot on that as well. There's a lot of other companies as well that you can have a look at. So now lastly, moving on to using Copilot. So really it's about using and leveraging technology that's at your fingertips. So hopefully, this could be an answer to the very last question is about what would you say in your cover letter. Honestly, use Copilot. Use Copilot for your CV, use it for cover letters, use it for job searches, looking at, research, upskilling, for that job perhaps. And again, so much more. So question, has anyone ever used AI or Copilot to help with their CV or anything else? Oh, the very last question is literally on that. Have you used generative AI or other automated online support with writing cover letters or other applications? I've just recently used it myself for my own CV. One of the internal recruiters actually told me to use it, and I was quite shocked. It doesn't come to me naturally, and she was like, "No, use it." Because apparently AI literacy is now a baseline expectation for a lot of companies. Um, and I'm not saying, don't add your own touch to it and just take what's literally produced from Copilot. That's not the point of it. You use it to, you know, help with your time a little bit, and give you some other ideas and other sort of things that you might have not thought of. And then again, it's about adding your own personal uniqueness to that. Because obviously, Copilot doesn't know you as a person. You know yourself better. And especially when you've done your whole self-analysis at the very beginning, you've done that whole discovery stage. And then it's about adding that to what Copilot will produce for you. But Copilot will help to, I guess, make it standardized, articulate a lot better for you, perhaps. And again, it will help to perhaps add in some of the key achievements for you, so adding key figures and stuff, but you will need to add to it and obviously make it a lot more realistic as to what maybe a Copilot will produce for you. But it will help you in that if you are sort of stuck at getting started. So really, you can just add in your CV and then just perhaps add to it to say, can you help to refine it, or just add in some better key achievements, or you can even take your current what is it, summary, your CV summary that you have at the top and add that in. And again, that can help to just rewrite it perhaps better for you, or whatever it is really. But like I say, AI is now a baseline expectation for a lot of companies. So it can help you to prepare for interviews, research companies. And like I say, even if you're not applying for a tech role, but showing comfort with digital tools can set you apart. So when applying for specific roles, use keywords from job applications to beat the ATS system and highlight measurable achievements. And again, use it to your advantage. There's going to be other candidates out there using Copilot, and if you're not, they're probably ahead of the game. But like I say, don't just rely on it purely. It's a tool to help you in the moment, but don't rely on it completely. Um, so has anyone ever used Copilot so far? Yeah. Or is anyone sort of shying away from it? I review CV that I've used and I think it should be used carefully. I could tell a mile that it was. Yeah, exactly. So it's about that personal touch, isn't it? And people be able to tell. So like I say, use it to get you started, but you need to add your own personal touch to it, and a lot more as well. But if you are stuck, use that tool to get you started. And like I said, I was shocked when recruitment colleague told me to use it. So I was like, whoa. But I have seen a lot of job adverts as well that say, we encourage you to use AI, but don't rely on it solely, and we will expect you to add your own personal touch to it. So again, it's just looking out for each individual application and reading all the finer details as well within that, and just seeing, if it is appropriate or not. But again, there's a lot of tools out there as well, so please do research into that. But how to check plagiarism using AI? I'm not too sure on that, I'll be honest. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of companies will have that built into their systems. But yeah, I'm not too sure on that. So, are there any questions from anyone on using Copilot or anything else that we have just covered? Appreciate it was a quick whistle-stop tour and a lot within that. So I appreciate you might need some time to just reflect and digest some of the information. Okay, so any general tips for recent graduates? I'd say be curious, be open to trying different things, because I think that's the beauty of it. You can try before you buy. Get onto a graduate program if you can. That's how I started off my career journey. And that, got me going in terms of the career path that I've chosen afterwards. And I've been with the business ever since I did my graduate program. So that really helped. But yeah, just try and be a sponge as well. Try and soak in as much information as you can. Be curious, be open to learning. And yeah, just really try and put yourself out there. You know, like I said, do your LinkedIn profile, practice your elevator pitch, see what you stand for, and really just network with people and put yourself out there as much as you can. Um, Appreciate the job market is hard out there. It's not easy, and that is for graduates or any other people in different stages of their career. So don't let it get you down, but really just put yourself out there and try and gain as much experience as you can. So that could either be volunteering as well or any other sort of work. It's about showing that you are continuously wanting to keep yourself busy, still gaining new skills, and that you are obviously still, increasing your employability, if that makes sense. So I think that's really, really important, just keeping yourself busy and showing that on your CV as well. So that could be for volunteering activities or whatever. Do you recommend attending networking meetings, although they usually are for business? Yeah, I do. Not that I've been to any recently that I can speak from, I guess, my own experience. But really try and attend anything and everything that you can and whatever is available to you. Because again, you might learn something new or you might connect with someone and you might learn something from them and they might, be helpful for you. Um, so that would be my advice. Yeah, go along, be curious, and be open to learning, I'd say, and that could be in anything and everything. So I guess my ask from you guys now is a little bit of reflection. Take a few minutes and just type into chat, what is your key takeaway from this session? And what are you going to do straight after this? So I'm not saying tonight, that could be tomorrow or in the next few days, whatever. But is it simply updating your LinkedIn or is it your CV that you need to update? Is it some of the do's and don'ts that you need to look at from the CV? Like, have you included some unnecessary information or is it longer than 2 pages? Do you need to cut it down to 2 pages now? Or do you just want to explore, let's say, using Copilot, see, what results can it achieve for you? Or is it getting started with your self-discovery, so your own personal brand? Or is it some of those personality tests that you want to go have a look at afterwards? But yeah, of course, a great point that is mentioned on the chat stream about using AI. Do not share any of your personal information, obviously email numbers, all that sort of stuff. So obviously if your CV does include that, obviously take some of that stuff out, but just put in there some of the things that you need a bit of help on perhaps, but no sort of personal data. But no, that's a great point to mention and thank you for that as well. But yeah, take a few minutes and just let me know what your key reflections are. And what you're going to sort of look to do straight after this session.
We have one key takeaway: join LinkedIn.
Oh, fantastic. Yep. Awesome.
For me personally, it'd be the STAR to look at that.
Okay, awesome. Yep, that star on the screen there.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to master that. It's a great interview technique, but it's just one to sort of get your head in and trying to practice some questions around it, actually, your answers around it. And like I say, practice with a trusted person as well. That can really help.
We've got
Um,
another one saying, understand LinkedIn, is not familiar with it.
Sure, that's fine. Yep, just get started with it. Like I say, you don't have to be absolutely perfect on it, but simply get started, create your account, and just start to, put your CV on there really. It's your online CV, and try and make it the best possible. Um, but yeah, there's quite a lot to it. And again, this is just a quick snapshot of employability. There's so much within this as well. But just some of the key things to sort of get started off really, and hopefully help people in their different stages of their career.
Davina, I
Yes.
just wanted to ask,
hmm
how much do employers look into people's social media profiles? Is there a warning you want to give maybe to the younger audience
That's
about
a
what they
really
post?
interesting point, actually. I remember that being mentioned to me a lot, especially when I was starting off in my career after graduating. Yeah, keep it neat and clean. That's what I would say. Your social media. You never know, what lengths these hiring managers or recruiters get up to. So they may look you up on Facebook or Instagram or whatever else there is nowadays. So keep it neat and clean. That's what my advice would be. Um, I'll be honest, I personally have never really looked anyone up on their socials. I always just look them up on their LinkedIn. But of course, even when you have joined an organization, social media is a really big part of employment, and people can be fired as well in terms of their social media usage, and I've seen that happen. So just be careful on that if you're getting started, and that's the young generation, or even if you're later stage of your career, always keep your social media neat and clean. That's what I say, and just keep a fine line if you are looking to connect with colleagues or professionals on your social media. I'll be honest, I'll try and steer away from that. But yeah, LinkedIn is your best place to make sure you're coming across professionally. And again, just endorsing yourself and putting yourself out there.
There's another key takeaway that it's okay to use Copilot as an aid to help with this. My next step is to update my LinkedIn as I haven't used it for a few years now.
Fantastic. That's really positive to hear. But yep, Copilot is an aid to help you, but it's not there to replace everything and doesn't stop you using your brain cells. That's what I say. So do add your own personal touch to everything that you do and make it unique, because again, that's what's going to stand you apart from all the other candidates out there and in the job market. So that's a bit of reflection time. So now it's your turn to provide some feedback. So feel free to scan the QR code if you can with your mobile. If not, that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to share a link in the chat stream for you to just give some anonymous feedback. Again, it will just help us to just understand if this has been beneficial for everyone and how we can further strengthen it for everyone. So please just use a couple of minutes of your time to provide some anonymous feedback and constructive as well.
There's another question. Is it recommended to reapply to the job once again when it did not go well in the first interview?
Again, it depends on the feedback received, I guess, on that. So I really don't know, but I wouldn't probably reapply if it has not gone well in the first interview, because surely you would have received feedback on that. And also on that note as well, if you don't receive feedback, ask for feedback. I always say this. Um, Not all the hiring managers or recruiters will be forthcoming with feedback. Like they won't just provide it straight away when the rejection comes. Um, but it's about the candidate asking for it. Because believe you me, legally, they need to have feedback written up once they've done an interview in their notes. And again, that's for internal purposes as well as external. So always go back and ask for feedback. Again, that's one of my top advices. And that's not just if you've had a rejection, you can still ask for feedback, even if it's been positive, and you're on to the next stage, because again, it can just tell you what you have done really well and do more of it in the next stage, perhaps, or maybe even some areas where you might need to do a little bit more of for the next stage. So always ask for feedback. Either way, I think that's really important. And like I say, legally, you have to be provided feedback, but it's always down to the candidate to asking for them to ask for it. Because again, I guess it shows that proactivity, and again that they're taking control of their employability, and just trying to work on it for next time. Though I appreciate if you repeatedly keep getting the same generic feedback, then that's not good. But again, that says something about the employer. But yeah, just try and always ask for feedback, please. That's really, really important. So yeah, hopefully everyone's been able to access the feedback form either through the QR code or the link. It should just take you to an MS form, and there's just a series of questions to ask. And like I say, it's all anonymous, but all feedback is really welcomed. And then that's it. You are all able to go, and hopefully you've been able to get something useful and valuable from this workshop.
Thank you all for joining us today. A special thank you to Davina for sharing such valuable insights and making today's session truly meaningful. I'd love to find out how many people have successfully got jobs after this.
Oh God, no pressure. Even if it
No.
helps you the slightest, then I know I've been able to do
But
something good and
and it would be
valuable.
lovely to get some feedback. So yeah, anyway, I'd like to express my appreciation to you, the audience as well. And if you do think of anything you want to ask Davina, you can email me and I'll pass it on to you. The email address is obpn-we@oshwal.org. And also, if you want this, the slide decks, please do email me. A big shout out to the OA UK media team working diligently behind the scenes today, Khalid and Anish, to make sure it all ran smoothly. And last but not least,
Oops.
thank you, Shilpa, for supporting me today through this session. And before we close, I'm delighted to share details of some upcoming events. Firstly, next Thursday, during Grief Awareness Week, we have an online session hosted by Shilpa, who is also our health and welfare portfolio holder, called Positive Grief, exploring ways to support yourself and others through bereavement. This is a really important area, and sometimes we as Asians don't actually, seek help. So I'm looking forward to that. The details will be on our website. Then in the new year, in 2026, which is really just around the corner, on the 24th of January, we have a face-to-face confidence building coaching workshop at Ekta Centre. This is the second one because the first one was so popular and we had a waiting list, delivered by You Can Coaching. It's designed to help you strengthen communication, presence, and personal impact. Then on the 22nd of February, we will be holding a career guidance webinar for post-18s. That's focused on helping young people navigate choices and pathways for their next chapter. That's being presented by a careers advisor in a school. So we all look forward to welcome you to all three events. Look out for details on the OA UK website. And until then, thank you once again for being with us today. Enjoy the rest of your evening and stay warm.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. Take care.
हरिहंत प्रभु ना दर्शन करना ओम नमो हरिहंताणं सिद्ध प्रभु ना दर्शन करना ओम नमो सिद्धाणं आचार्यों ने वंदन करना ओम नमो आयर्याणं उपाध्याय ने वंदन करना ओम नमो उपाध्यायाणं सर्व साधु ने वंदन करना नमो लोए सब साहूणं सम्यक दर्शन मुझने मर्जो सम्यक सम्यक् ज्ञानम्